guys, how's it going? It's Blepney here with another team review, and today we're going to be looking at the double Honedge backline in the Open Great League. So now that's going to be Doublade, which is the first evolution of Honedge, and then AEGISLASH, which is the second evolution of Honedge. Now both Doublade and AEGISLASH have gotten huge buffs from the new season, but I feel like AEGISLASH has been largely ignored. It's gotten the fantastic buff of being able to double up on Shadow Balls, and what you're going to see in these battles is that that's going to be hugely important because that allows it to stall the clock more and switch out. If you guys don't know, AEGISLASH has a very good form, which is the shield form, and as soon as it throws a charge move, it switches into sword form, which is less powerful, but if you can switch out, then it switches back into shield form. So that is going to be really important. Of course, the Doublade, as you saw in my last video, got access to Shadow Claw and Sacred Sword. So those two are definitely the strongest backline right now. On the lead, I have Altaria. Let's see how these battles go. So first off, we have our Altaria into Malamar. This is a pretty decent lead. You're going to see here, they obviously get to the move first, but we do so much damage with our move that we could probably just take them out if we chose to shield once. We would win the one shields. But instead, we're going to switch into our Honedge eventually, because that's how an ABB line works, is that you're supposed to switch into one of your B Pokemon, especially in this case where we have two of the same typing. We have two Steel and Ghost types, which are very strong. They're the only typing, Steel typing in the Great League that resists fighting, which is nice, and the fighting coverage of Doublade, of course, is very nice. You're going to see here, obviously, we completely wall this Ferrothorn. They could have Thunder, but Thunder is not a very powerful move, especially with a Ferrothorn. They can't really threaten us, so they're just going to let this go. And yeah, so Steel and Ghost is a very powerful typing. They're just going to give up here because, yeah, a lot of things are resisted by it, and the coverage of a fighting type move is quite nice there. So yeah, we're going to see here that they're actually going to no shield this flamethrower here with their whatever it's called, Bronzong, and that means that we can take them out with a Sky Attack. So we're actually going to take one move first, but we're going to go into our Doublade, and luckily they throw immediately. We weren't banking on this. We knew that they were at double, but we didn't know they would throw immediately. However, this is how an ABB team works, is that essentially you just like switch out and then you draw out the counter. Unfortunately, in this case, it would have been better to go into the AEGISLASH maybe, because AEGISLASH does have a move that can be that can do neutral damage versus the Golisopod, whereas of course the Honedge, or sorry, the Doublade does not, because both of their charge moves are resisted. We do luckily get to the second Gyro Ball, so it was the correct choice to go for the Gyro Ball instead of the triple Sacred Sword. I don't think we would have gotten to triple Sacred Sword, but that means that we get some decent damage on them. Despite the shield, we do get the full farm down because this is just going to be an Aqua Jet, I believe, or Water Pulse. Yeah, Aqua Jet. And we get the full farm down. We are going to go for the Sky Attack here, but very poor timing. I think we could have probably gotten the farm down there. It would have been very close, but yeah, that was definitely bad timing by me. And they have a Sunfisk in the back. And so this is where this the AEGISLASH really shines, because this should be a hard counter to the AEGISLASH. They do go for the Discharge, which was a mistake. But I think even if they went for the Mud Bomb, this is still definitely an advantage because of the fact that we can survive 3 Mud Bombs here. And we get to the double Shadow Ball. So we do survive this Mud Bomb. They're still 3 away from the next Mud Bomb. And so that means that we get off 2 of these Shadow Balls, we take a shield, and then obviously we can take them out with the Flamethrower, and that is a good game. So having that Altari in the back with so much health really comes in handy here at the end. And we're actually going to just take him out with a Sky Attack. Yeah, we can definitely shield here. We have 2 shields, so really them throwing moves is just them wasting energy because their only win condition is them farming us down, which they're not going to do. This Sky Attack is easily going to take them out, as you're going to see, and that is a good game. With all those Dragon Breaths, that Sky Attack was definitely enough. Even if they were rank 1, that would have still done just enough. And we are going to wait until our next battle here. Just talking with my chat probably on Twitch. Yeah, folks, I do stream on Twitch every morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check that out on the links down below. But now we're going into the next battle. We've got Altaria into Wigglytuff. And this is how an ABB team is supposed to work, folks, is that we go into our soft counter first. The Doublade, which is... okay, so it's met by a Marowak, which isn't ideal. Possibly Aegislash would have been better. But I definitely think that Doublade is a pretty strong... counter here, honestly. We could have gone for the... we definitely should have gone for the Gyro Ball there, because then at least we would have landed the Gyro Ball. Probably could have farmed down, in hindsight, if we did that. However, now we take 1 Rock Slide. They're going to put us just about into range for the next Rock Slide with their Mud Slaps. We throw at bad time, which is not ideal here. We could have done 1 more Dragon Breath. But, I mean, we do good timing here, at least, because we had 2 more Dragon Breaths until the Sky Attack. We throw the Sky Attack, and they are going to throw the Rock Slide. We shield the Rock Slide, because if you have an Aegislash in the back, it's always good to have something to switch back into. To switch your Aegislash form, they come in with the Wigglytuff. This is fantastic, because we can absorb all this energy here. You're going to see they throw the Swift here. It does triple resisted damage on one of the most defense-heavy Pokemon in the game. Probably not aware of this Pokemon's typing. I think that Aegislash is very powerful right now just because people aren't aware of its typing or its mechanics. They do throw the correct Icy Wind this time. However, this Gyro Ball is going to still put them into farm down range for the Altaria. So, no shield, we go into the Altaria, and the form change just, like, makes this fucking brutal for the opponent, because the form change mechanic allows us to switch back in time, and we have a full Shadow Ball loaded. They have a Gourgeist in the back. They don't stand a chance here, because we have a shield advantage. We have an energy advantage, and we have a Shadow Ball in the back. So that is a good game. Next up, we have Altaria into Empoleon. Pretty neutral matchup here, just because Altaria is so bulky. But we go straight into the Doublade because this is a ABB team. We go right for the Sacred Sword, which is questionable because, you know, we should expect them to switch out. But instead we go for the Sacred Sword and we shield here. So in hindsight, it would have just probably been better to have farmed up more. And we do lose CMP versus the Empoleon, but they don't know that. They go into the Golbat, which is not great. Because obviously this is double resisted. We could have gone for the Gyro Ball and then put them into farm down range. So a huge misplay on our part. But what we do instead is we catch the Shadow Ball here onto Altaria. And once again, Altaria doesn't have a horrible matchup versus the Empoleon. Empoleon forced to use non-stab Drillpex versus the Altaria. So in hindsight, we very well could have stayed in versus the Empoleon. But we did what we are supposed to do with this strategy, which is to go into our safe swap. They go into the Dugong here versus the Altaria. So in hindsight, definitely, I think that we did the right choice by saving the Doublade. Sure, they're going to get a lot of energy here, but you're going to see that we're going to be able to switch out into our Aegislash. And at this point, we're golden because Aegislash, as you're going to see, takes no damage whatsoever from these super effective drill runs. That is less than a quarter of their health. So they do need, I think they need 5 charge moves. They need at least 1 Icy Wind here, which you're going to see they're going to throw the Icy Wind correctly here because they need an Icy Wind and they need 3 draw runs. So, yeah, it's just a pretty rough situation for them. We are going to throw this move and switch. We could have overfarmed more, definitely. But this is fine. We do switch here. We do catch the... we're not going to catch anything because they do want to throw the Shadow Ball, of course, onto the Aegislash, especially if they know the Aegislash's mechanics and know that it's vulnerable at that time. They would want to throw the Shadow Ball, which makes sense why we shielded. We do already have the Gyro Ball loaded up. So, yeah, we're going to be able to just take out this Empoleon with the Shadow Ball. I'm not keeping track of the opponent's energy, but I believe that they're just not going to be able to win here for sure. We don't have to catch because even if they threw here, I think that they're still one off. But if they threw, you already seen the Aegislash shield forms bulkiness, and it would just not come close to killing. That is a good game. Yeah, Aegislash is completely unstoppable. Don't know why Scopely made it so OP, but it's a very good Pokemon. Here we have a positive lead. They stay in, which is, it's interesting. They are doing about as much damage with the... Okay, so they're trying to catch the Sky Attack. They were doing about as much damage with their Fast Attack as we were, as you can see, but we were obviously farming up energy a lot faster. They were trying to catch our Sky Attack. They failed. They shielded correctly because obviously the Flamethrower would do so much to the Shadow Steelix. However, we're going to have a pretty good counter here. In the Doublade, we actually let this go, just sensing that we could probably still win as long as we shielded a Crunch. But they do go for the Psychic Fangs. And now we're actually going to shield because they went for the Psychic Fangs first. At this point, we know that we can win Switch. They do go for the Crunch there correctly because they're not going to get to 2 more Psychic Fangs anyway. But yeah, we take them out here. That's quite good. They go back into their Araquanid and farm us down, which is fine. We're going to be able to definitely take out this Araquanid with the Altaria, no matter what they throw. They throw a Bubble Beam, very questionable, because that just means that we get more farm here. And now they're going to throw the Water Pulse, which does a good amount more damage, but still not within farm down range, of course. And at this point, we just don't want to get caught on. If we get one of these Sky Attacks caught on, that's not great. But we should just be able to... we're just going to go here because the Water Pulses are going to do very little damage. The Bubble Beam does nothing. And once again, guys, the Aegislash hits like a truck. Even though it's bulky, even though the shield form is bulky, it still hits just as hard as the sword form. So, people don't expect that I should be able to easily two-shot this bird here. They can bait as much as they want. We don't mind. We can take a payback, no problem. And we can just throw 2 Shadow Balls here. They should not quite be able to switch out yet. So we're just going to throw them back to back. Even though we're debuffed, it shouldn't matter because that does well over half. And then we're going to switch after this one because we can just sweep with the Altaria. Of course, we already have the Sky Attack. And yeah, well, you can see why we're in an interlude season because it took quite a long time for the game to register that we simultaneously swapped with them going to their Pokemon. That is okay. We go into the next battle here. We have Altaria into Azumarill. This is not a terrible matchup because we do outpace them to the moves. But of course, we have two Pokemon that double resist. They both resist their charge moves unless they have Hydro Pump, which you rarely see anymore. Yeah, of course, that we're doing neutral damage here with the Shadow Claws versus the Azumarill. They switch into the Gastrodon. Once again, this is how it's supposed to work. They go for the Body Slam, which kind of makes sense, honestly. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it to the Sacred Swords here. In hindsight, I definitely was, so I should have just gone for the double Sacred Sword. One Gyro Ball does more than one Sacred Sword. However, I think two Sacred Swords, it would have actually forced them to shield or throw a move. Not ideal because we're going to take two Body Slams here, I believe, on the Altaria. Maybe we can farm them down before they make the second Body Slam? Yes, we do. Okay, good. Yeah, they were one off of the Body Slam there. But we're going to go straight to Aegislash as soon as we know that the Azumarill is swapping in. The Azumarill has nothing here because they do not have... they don't have Hydro Pump, but I'm not really sure why they go for the Ice Beam. That does less damage than the Play Rough, but maybe they weren't aware of the typing. We're just going to farm up here because once again, once we switch back into Sword form, we're going to not be able to take damage at all, which means that we want to farm up. And now you're going to see the real benefit of farming up to double moves here because now we're just going to be able to swap right back in to our Altaria. Once we go into Blade form, yeah, and that's the play. You just go back into Altaria. They swap back into Azumarill, and so Altaria with energy has a pretty comfortable matchup here, especially because the Azumarill is down one shield. So they might be able to farm us down after this Ice Beam. I don't think the Ice Beam itself kills, but probably farm us down before we get to this next Sky Attack. It would be very close. So we do shield. It's worth shielding because this Altaria is going to be worth a lot to us in the back. Just, if nothing else, just as a way to swap out of the Aegislash. We do correctly catch the move onto Aegislash. Pretty safe catch here because they want to throw this move before we reach the Sky Attack. And you see we do correctly simultaneously swap and throw move, which forces them to let go their Azumarill. And at this point, we should be pretty okay because we can shield this and we are in Sword form. So this actually changes back into shield form. And suddenly, we're able to survive, easily survive one Rock Blast at least. And we're going to just double up here. There's no reason not to double up because we're going to be able to throw both. We win CMP. We almost could survive two. Can't quite survive two. But we win CMP here. Even if they threw another Rock Tomb here, this should be a good game. Yeah, so they actually don't shield, which makes sense because they know that we can switch out. No real reason for us to throw the second one because we're just giving up a turn every single time you throw a charge move. It takes one turn, in case you guys don't know. So yeah, we should have just farmed down with fast moves. But here we have an interesting matchup. You're going to see that they actually don't bluff the Ice Punch here even. They just go straight for the Rage Fist, which is questionable. But it does mean they win the two shields here. So maybe that was the correct call for them. They definitely want to keep the RPS. See here, we have Haley here. hanging out with us. And yeah, so they're going to actually win the 2 shields if we shield, so there's really no point in shielding here. We're just going to let this go because we're going to trust in our backline, which is questionable, with an ABB style backline. Usually you're supposed to at least swap out at some point and maybe use some shields, but we decided instead to just let the Altaria go because honestly, Doublade with all of its energy is incredibly powerful. Doublade is just going to be able to force shields here anyway. So the Sableye would have been pretty difficult for our Aegislash in the back, but because we're able to get it so low, the opponent actually probably could have just stayed in there and with Sableye and been in a pretty good spot. But the Credilli would have been taken out by the Credilli would have definitely been taken out by the Doublade because Doublade would triple resist the acid fast move. So they didn't really have any win con here, and that is a good game. Once again, the shadow, the ghost steel typing is just insane on both Doublade and Aegislash. And so this is not an ideal lead here. They swap into Blastoise, which is good because we do know how to deal with a Blastoise. We can force a shield or put them into Sacred Sword range with a Sky Attack. And because we don't take any damage from the fast move here with the rollouts, that means that we should be able to control switch here because we can easily outpace them to the Sacred Sword. This should be enough to put them into farm down range, so they shield. They're going to throw their move here, but they can't threaten us with a farm down. So we should be okay just throwing a move, and they realize that. They go into the Dusknoir. We definitely should have gone for the Sacred Sword there, just because the Dusknoir is probably not familiar with our moveset and might actually shield the Sacred Sword, unaware that it's actually double resisted, maybe thinking that it was a stronger move. So that was a huge mistake. And we make another mistake here by not throwing our Sky Attack immediately. I think we could have outpaced them by 1 turn. We threw immediately, but as it stands, we wanted to save the Altaria as a swap, and I think that this might have actually been the correct move. Because as you're going to see here, these Moonblasts do nothing versus Shield Form Aegislash. And we can just switch back into Shield Form by switching into Altaria. Altaria also definitely going to make it to a move, at least 1 move, versus this Clefable. Of course, we have to watch out for a catch, but not a lot of people know the counts of Aegislash at this point, right? So we are going to actually win this pretty easily because they decided to let that go. And we should be able to reach a Sky Attack here before... And we could have farmed down. We could have even farmed down because the rollouts aren't doing as much damage as our Dragon Breaths. So we are okay here. We're not going to die from 1 Hydro Cannon. They're not going to make it to 2 Hydro Cannons. And that is a good game. I do believe that Aegislash does win CMP over Blastoise as well. Aegislash is its stats aren't horrible. It just has a weirdly high artificial defense stat when it's in shield form. So yeah, I think that we were pretty safe there. Next up, we have Altaria into Skeledirge. Fantastic lead. This is where we want to see it. Obviously, the Doublade can at least do super effective damage to it to match the super effective damage it's doing with the Incinerates. However, It's better to see it here. Definitely where the fast moves are resisted. We're gonna take one Shadow Ball, and we're gonna see it's a Torch Song. So that's quite good for us to call the Torch Song, because if we shielded the Torch Song, we would have also had to shield the Shadow Ball, because the Shadow Ball would have basically taken us out with the increased attack. So we're going to go for the Sky Attack here. Scalder is not the bulkiest Pokemon, probably taken out by the Sky Attack. And we're going to go into our Safe Swap, which is the Doublade. It was the correct move to go into the Doublade here. Once again, because of how ABB works, we just want to bait out whatever might be strong to the Aegislash in the back. We have fantastic coverage with the Sacred Sword. Once again, we're going to call the Psychic Fangs. They do go for a Psychic Fang. Even if they went for Crunch, they're not Shadows, so they're not going to be able to farm us down after a Crunch. They're going to have to throw a Psychic Fangs at the very least. So they actually go for the Shield, which is interesting. I think that we no Shield here, expecting other Psychic Fangs, and after this Psychic Fangs, they can Shield farm us down. So I guess that they think this is their win con, is farming us down here and hoping that they can just take on whatever's in the back with this extra energy. But no, they actually... okay, this is interesting. They have an Umbreon in the back, and it's Umbreon versus the world at this point. This is gonna be a good showcase. This is gonna be a great showcase of Aegislash, because look at these super effective foul plays. Don't even look super effective. Look not very effective. I imagine the opponent's pretty confused right now, because 3 foul plays, 3 super effective moves are not enough to take out the amazingly bulky shield from Aegislash. And look at this. We're going to be able to see how much 2 Gyro Balls do versus an Umbreon. Very satisfying. We got the first Gyro Ball, Ghost type, doing 50% of an Umbreon's health. Boom! Second Gyro Ball doing the second 50%. Very satisfying. That is a good game. Looks like even more, honestly. Oh, well, yeah, just about 50% of their health. A little bit less, actually. Maybe 45%. That is a good game. We have Altaria into Fearow. This is a decent lead just because Altaria isn't really threatened by any of Fearow's moves. It can't survive 2 Drill Pecks. Fearow cannot survive a single Sky Attack. I don't think that was good. I think actually, no, that was good timing. We threw the Sky Attack at the correct time against their 2-turn move. And now they are at double Drill Pecks. They're going to go for the first one. And they swap, but I mean, they have to shield this, right? This is good for us, for them to swap into the Sableye, because at the very least, Doublade has a much better matchup versus Sableye than the Aegislash. They actually surprisingly take that Sky Attack. I did not expect that. But at this point, we should be able to guarantee the win here. We're going to take their shield, right? And then we're going to be able to farm down. We just shield once, we farm down. We have energy. We're in a good spot. We no shield. I don't know. This was back when I was thinking that Aegislash with a shield was the play. Maybe I should have actually shielded there so that I would have energy. But yeah, they have Ninetales in the back. So it turns out that this was perfectly fine. We can take as many moves as we want here. We still have a shield. We should be able to guarantee this game just because we resist all the moves from the Ninetales. We're going to take a Drill Peck here. Not sure about that. I thought that was going to be a Drill Run. But I mean, regardless, it's still fine, because I guess that they surprisingly didn't make it to a move there. I thought they would at least make it to another Drill Run there if they throw the Drill Peck first. But regardless, we should not lose this game, right? Because they have no fast move pressure, they have no charge move pressure. Obviously, it goes without saying that quadruple, super effective, same type attack bonus. Gyro Ball does take him out, and that is a good game. And those are all of the games for today. Very fun team, guys. Very fun backline. And the AEGISLASH and the Doublade, if you guys have AEGISLASH and Doublade, try out that backline for yourself. I think that a Dragon is probably a pretty good option for the lead. I'm going to try Drampa next because I think that Drampa might also be very good. And I'll see you all next time.